Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the Detroit Tigers. And quick before we get into everything, just want to some reminder to like and subscribe if you, of course, have always enjoyed the content that I've been putting out. Now getting into things, of course, by the looking at the standings here, we were 77 and 85. Not really any way to spin it, but just saying it was a disappointing season. Of course, we've come off multiple winning seasons in a row, multiple playoff appearances in a row, and now this year taking a pretty big step back. I'm not really even close in contention in our division, so pretty disappointing. And honestly, we're in a really tough spot because of course, we weren't one of the worst teams in the league. We were kind of just middle of the road, so in the off season, like when you acquire a player that requires like you giving up compensation for them, like a star player, if you have a pick in the top 10, those picks are protected from the compensation. But of course, since we're kind of middle of the road, we're kind of looking at like 14th, 15th pick, somewhere around there. So if we were to make a splash in the off season, we would lose that first round pick, which of course is pretty valuable, as there definitely are some pretty good guys that will be available. So we're honestly in a tough spot. I mean, 77 and 85, of course, is not what we expected. Now looking at our expected win-loss, we even overperformed that a little bit. We were expected to be 74 and 88, and honestly, I probably would have rather gone 74 and 88 because that would have actually put us in the top 10, because there are a million teams with 76 wins in the American League. So jumping all of those teams, we would have actually had that top 10 pick. And looking at kind of our past seasons here, again, of course, we had, 2 seasons where we did not play well. Of course, we weren't really expecting to play well. And then we kind of contended much earlier than we thought, as we really overperformed in that first year. And then we actually were a legitimate playoff team last year. But still 2 playoff seasons in a row into this is just, of course, not really what we wanted. We did contend a little bit earlier, so maybe not. We're definitely not going to go for like a complete rebuild, but I think with some retooling, we definitely will be able to make it back into the postseason pretty quickly. Possibly even next year. Who knows? So, with our kind of team performance in mind, actually, let's go look at who's in the playoffs. So, Blue Jays won the American League East. Indians and Twins, pretty tight race. Both of them made it from our division. Houston and LA make it from the American League West. The National League West, the Padres have actually turned into quite the powerhouse, 107 wins. Dodgers wildcard, Brewers and Cardinals make it a close NL Central race. And then the Atlanta Braves, winning the NL East by 6 games. So now that we have that down, go ahead and kind of get into our season recap, how we usually do things around here. So actually first let's go ahead and just probably should cover the injuries that we have right now. So John Curtis is a guy who came up for one of these 2 injuries, I believe. Joe Jimenez, who tore his UCL, and he's out for an entire year, so he's going to miss all of next season, which is really unfortunate. Of course, we signed him to that pretty hefty contract, at least for a reliever. He has at least 3 more years on the deal after this, 4 if he accepts his team option, which is pretty likely. Morhone also down for the entirety of next season, so that really hurts us. And then Anthony Sigler, he's been out for a little bit, only got in 81 games this year, of course, while splitting time for a lot of the year. But he really just missed the last 2 weeks of the season pretty much. Actually, no, not even the last 2 weeks. So he got hurt like 2 days ago, actually, I believe. So, and then Curtis, kind of up and down. He had a really good year in AAA, so we decided to bring him up for kind of the long-term Jimenez injury. Then he himself ended up getting banged up for a little bit. Coaching he's back now, but not in time for the end of the regular season. So going quick back into the hitting ratings. Roddy Reed was not particularly good with the bat. Of course, we brought him in for more of his defensive prowess. kind of replacing Falefa. He's making the league minimum. Probably will be making more next year, but I'm probably going to bring him back. Jake Rogers, of course, mentioned the Sigler injury. He came up to replace Sigler, and he only got one game in, so nothing much there. Bobby Dalbec, really disappointing season from him. Last year he had a monster season. He was worth almost 5 wins last year at 43 homers this year, 36. So kind of played more like he did in the previous 2 years before last year. That kind of looked like a breakout year. Actually was worse than he was in his first 2 years in the big leagues. But honestly, nothing really I think we can do besides just hoping he is able to bounce back a little bit. I don't really plan on moving on from him. I still think he can be pretty good for us. So, of course, he is now at first base. So, he's good defensively there. He wasn't bad at third, but, of course, we have Walker manning there now. Bryant Packard, of course, our kind of left-handed option at first base, was good for us last year in the games he played. Wasn't quite as good this year, but still not too terrible offensively for us this year. I mean, mid 700s OPS, so pretty decent. He also isn't very good in the field, but he's an option that we're definitely going to be keeping around. Whether it be kind of in a platoon role. Dalbec has pretty much gotten all the at-bats, and that first one probably will continue to, but Packard still could be a bench guy for us next season. Isaac Paredes had a fantastic season for us. He was good in the 94 games he got in last year, and pretty much played almost a full season this year for us, and was fantastic. WAR of 4.6. I mean, he was good for us. Pretty much bounced around all over the place. Started in left for Paolini beginning of the year, then played some third when Walker went down, and then ended the season pretty much playing second base every day for us after Castro was moved. As of course we did that at the trade deadline, so absolutely fantastic season from him. Could not be more pleased with that. Jordan Walker, our number one prospect, who got significant time in the majors this year. He was pretty good for us. I was pleasantly surprised with his rookie season. 37 homers, 94 RBI, which of course doesn't really matter, but still pretty cool to see that he got those up there a decent bit. I mean, 268, 326, slugging over 500 OPS plus 122, WAR of over 4, so definitely looking like a perennial all-star, which is around what 4 WAR usually is. All-star caliber play, and then he's also fantastic for us at third base. So looking forward to him hopefully locking down third base for the rest of his time here. We haven't had great luck with the top prospects already on the team in this series, but hopefully he can pan out for us. That would be pretty huge. Wentz Perez, he was pretty decent for us this year at short. Not really good defensively for us. -3 zone rating. He's definitely a better second baseman, and he's more of a backup infielder. I definitely wouldn't want him to get extended looks at shortstop. Shortstop is definitely a spot that we need to upgrade. At least maybe not next year, but look to upgrade in the very, very near future, as I don't want Perez manning shortstop and getting most of the ABs there, so we gotta definitely do something about that position. Of course, we've had Almeida there in the past. It was good defensively, but not worth anything with the bat. So we definitely need to do something about our infield situation this offseason. Ryan Ritter is a guy who, a kind of young guy who we brought up. We have a bunch of kind of guys that are kind of valued the similar as Perez and Ritter, just kind of so-so guys, pretty decent in the field, not spectacular hitting ratings. Fielding ratings are actually kind of weird, as he doesn't really have any infield range, but he is very sure-handed with an 80 grade air, 75 grade turn double play, so his ratings are kind of interesting, but again, a so-so player for us. Hunter Bishop, we acquired him at the deadline. He came up and played some center for us because Cameron missed a lot of time this year. Again, he was kind of just the backup outfielder for us. Was very good in the minors. and then came into the majors. Hit for nice power. OPS plus below 100, but definitely need to be better with the bat if he's a corner guy. Like we were playing him, except when he did get some time in center field with Cameron. Paolini is probably the biggest disappointment of the year. Of course, he was our Rule 5 guy last year. Did very well, / 283, 340, 472. Was a great guy for us at the plate, and of course is a pretty good guy in left field to have defensively. And then this year he just pretty much didn't replicate any of that success at all. Started the season on the shelf and then just really was never able to get things going at all. I mean, 242, 292, 384 was a slash line this year, just miles worse than he was the year before. I mean, I'm pretty confident he can turn things around, but what kind of concerns me is that his ratings pretty much just didn't evolve at all. I mean, he's pretty much the exact same player ratings-wise as he was the previous year, so that's kind of interesting to me. I hope that he can kind of upgrade those next year and see if he can improve at all. Daz Cameron had an absolute fantastic year for us. I mean, he definitely, comparing his numbers to 2023, just looking at the little box there, he's hit for way more power. His slash line was just way better than pretty much anything he had ever done before. He was worth 2.7 wins and not even playing 100 games, but that's just the thing about his season. He just wasn't able to stay on the field. Pretty much our only hitter who missed significant time this year. He just couldn't stay on the field, but when he was there, he performed very well for us. Pasabe, our right fielder, had a career year himself. So, again, he kind of had limited time, but really only missed the 7-week period in the beginning of the season, and then didn't return to the injured list after that. But again, 492 slugging, 353 on base, 273 average, OPS plus of 116, 2.5 win player in those games that he played. So he had a pretty good year. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to him manning right field again next season. And then Parker Meadows is another outfielder that he played pretty much only when injuries forced him into the lineup, into the major league roster. Mainly a left fielder, mainly a corner guy, but we're kind of short-handed with Cameron going down, which we really don't have anyone that can play center field, and so we had to kind of just stick a bunch of guys who really should not be playing there. Again, you can see Meadows is 6'5", 225, so really big guy. Definitely not someone you want manning center field, but again, we had to plug a lot of guys in there this year because of the Cameron injury. And then last but certainly not least, JD Martinez, the best hitter on our team. Another fantastic season from him to play, pretty much replicating his exact, not exactly, but still kind of being close to his performance last year. On base, not quite as good, but the slugging, so those power numbers, pretty similar to what they were last year. He just is a machine at the plate. Of course, he's just guy we plug in at DH every single game and just trust him to go to work. 3.5 win player at DH, which is pretty crazy. So he definitely was valuable for us at the plate this year. Now moving over to the pitching side of things, where we had plenty of disappointments this year. Starting at the top with the guys who were the worst for us this year. Cam Wynn, not really much to say about him. He only had 13 innings and then had an injury that pretty much knocked him out for the entire year. Then he just came back at the end. So not really anything to read into his numbers, just that he was very bad in the 13 innings that he did get. Brendan White was really awful for us this year. ERA over 7, FIP really almost 6. He started 30 games for us. He definitely has no future left in this team. I don't really value him as anything anymore. So he's pretty much done, and he'll be brought as back as minor league depth probably, but definitely not going to get extended looks in the rotation, and I am going to prioritize a lot more guys over him. Holby Milner, pretty disappointed with him. He has been a good lefty option for us in the past, especially last year, and good lefty in this game. Mid-5 FIP, negative win player and pretty much a full season of work, so not good from him. Joey Wentz, of course, he's been kind of just an innings eater in the past with a kind of mid-4 FIP, kind of mid-5 FIP now, so rough season from him. Hopefully he can bounce back and be a little better next year and kind of just keep on eating those innings for us. Jacob Webb, guy who we acquired at the trade deadline, not particularly good for us, wasn't particularly good with Washington before he was dealt to us. So, I mean, just kind of a middle-of-the-road reliever there, just a depth guy that probably won't see much Major League time next year. Just kind of had to have him on the roster out of necessity this year. Ronnie Garcia, of course, had a major arm injury that caused him to miss most of last year. Then, again, most of this year. Came right in, started for us at the end of the year. Honestly, not too disappointed with his performance. I mean, high 4 FIP, but, I mean, he hadn't pitched in a long, long time, so definitely going to take those numbers from a guy who really hasn't acted as a starter in the past. Anyway, so not too disappointed with those numbers. He's just kind of there filling innings for us as a starter. Don't really know what his future is with us at this point. Patrick Dayton, lefty who we acquired in the offseason last year, I believe. Kind of just buy low lefty reliever. He was fine for us. Definitely going to be bringing him back on a low-priced deal this year. Penn Murphy was pretty decent ERA-wise, but again, FIP, ERA kind of misleading. His FIP was much higher than his kind of 3.5 ERA. Does strike out about 9 guys per 9 though, so decent arm to have. Definitely kind of a lower tier bullpen piece, but I view him more of as a major league piece than kind of a minor league bullpen depth. Casey Mize had a rough year after his absolutely fantastic year last year, where he only posted a 2.6 ERA. His FIP was a little bit higher than that, but still an elite year last year. This year, not nearly as elite ERA, or 5 FIP. In the low 4s, did not strike out nearly as many guys as he did last year, I believe. I think last year he was, his K per 9 was in the 9s, and this year it's dipping back into the 7s, where he was early in his career. So hopefully that can hop back up, especially his whip can go down, as he allowed a lot more homers than he did last year. Homers were under 1 this year. Up to 1.4. His walks also went up a little bit. He is good at not allowing walks in general, but still, just a bad year from him. And now he's listed as fragile. So him and Manning just not very good for us. And speaking of Manning, as you kind of can see here from just this look at the roster, he's not even on the Major League roster anymore. I threw him all the way down here in AAA. He was just awful for us this year. Just incredibly awful. As you can see, his WAR was a whole -1. Just absolutely terrible performance for him. Even previously, he has been kind of a strikeout artist for us and has been pretty decent all the previous years. Wasn't too good in 2023, but was good in 2022 and the years prior, especially when he was starting games for us. But his strikeouts dipped all the way down to 8.5 per 9. His walks jumped up. Pretty much everything went bad about him. And honestly, he really might not even have much of a future left with us anymore. It's really sad to see, because he was definitely one of the top prospects in our organization, my top Tigers prospect in real life. So really kind of disappointing to see that injuries have kind of rocked his career. Looked like he could have been a decent bullpen piece, but now he's not even that. So his career is pretty much on the fritz now, as he is kind of maybe more of a minor league depth piece than even a major league bullpen piece. Going back here, I'm sorting by FIP. Raul Rosales, of course, the guy we acquired in the offseason. His first major league season, not bad. FIP was right around his low 4 ERA. Decent bullpen piece to have. We are paying him $4.6 million per year for the next 3 years. I think that's not too shabby of value for the kind of season he has turned in. Kamara Rocker, he of course missed the first 2 months of the season, was on the injured list. Came off. I gave him some rehab starts where he was not particularly good. 17 walks, 17 strikeouts, and 15 innings. So I was pretty concerned. But honestly, we didn't really have many other options, and I figured he's already 24. I'm almost 25, so I should give him at least a chance. And he came in, and he actually was pretty decent. Worth about 2 wins in his time in the majors so far this year. FIP just under 4. I mean, he was better than Mize and our best starter this year, pretty much. So, I mean, can't really complain about anything he did this year. Obviously, he was literally our best starter this year. So, good things from our number 2 prospect in our organization and the number 2 prospect in all of baseball. Chris Montoya, our elite closer, or elite reliever, I should say, is he's more of just I'm much more in favor of using kind of our best relievers as high leverage guys and not necessarily closers. But he was good. Not elite, 3.7 FIP, but still not a bad season from him. Jorge Benitez, he's a guy who had some time in the minors this year, pitched very well in those in that time with when he was in the Nationals organization earlier this year. We gave him major league time pretty much as soon as he got to the team, and in 42 innings, he was pretty good for us, mid-3 FIP. I believe, he can start. He has 2+ off-speed pitches. His fastball is kind of average, but so kind of a fringe starty guy. But he's a lefty and he'd be a great guy to have to continue come out of the bullpen, or a guy who would probably be more of a back-end starter. But still, he is a pretty valuable piece to have, at least. So that is, I think, going to do it for our little recap. Next episode, we should be getting into the off-season where we definitely have some decisions to make. Definitely going to try to retool the roster. Probably the biggest needs that I see that we're going to go after is just solidifying pitching. I mean, Mize and Rocker, I'm fine with them being starters on this team. Wentz, I'm definitely okay with bringing him back, of course, to be kind of like that back end of the rotation guy who just eats innings. Garcia could be a depth piece, maybe a starter. But White, we definitely got to do something about that. So we got to address the starting rotation. Bullpen, I'm not too concerned about. We have we have guys who have done well in the past. We have Zach Hess who's done in the minors. We have Feltman as some depth, and we have Houston as some depth. We definitely have some pretty good depth relievers. So I definitely think we have a lot of guys who could be pretty decent for us. If we shuffle those guys right, we definitely should be able to get a pretty good bullpen performance. Then we do have Robson, in the minors. So we definitely have options when it comes to the bullpen. So I'm not too concerned about acquiring bullpen arms, but I'm definitely going to address the starting rotation, and then definitely going to address the shortstop position and possibly the catcher position as well. So those are just some quick things to look out for and think about before we go into the off season. But that is going to do it for the video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next episode.